Hi book lovers, it's Jenny at Julia Baby Jen's Reading Room, and this is my weekly wrap up for October 14th. Alright, it was another great reading week for me. I read some fabulous books this week. I read a total of 6 books and 1 novella. So let's get started. The novella I read was a freebie off of Kindle. It's a NA contemporary romance, and it was called Untouched by Melody Grace. And it is a prequel before the first book in a series. I think there's 3 in the series, and I think it's called the Beechwood Bay series, and it's just total light fun type of thing. So I grabbed the novella to read it to see if I would want to read the series, and I think I will. I gave it 4 stars. It was pretty good. It was a dual point of view story. It's in this beach town. Anyway, she's upper class and he's lower class. Pretty good, and I will probably go ahead and read the rest of the series. The first book I also downloaded that was free on Amazon as well. And then I read the 6th book in the series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket. The Ersatz Elevator was the name of it, and I gave this one 4 stars. Previously, I've given all the other books 3 stars, and this one I was heads and tails above all the other ones so far. Mainly all of the symbols and everything throughout it. It was all about 6s kind of referenced throughout it, which was kind of fun. So yeah, it was a little bit longer of a story as well, a little deeper than the other ones. So, and I've heard they do get more that way as you get to the end of it. I finally read The Eternity Cure by Julie Kagawa, and oh my goodness, I loved it. I'm not sure if I liked it more than the first book. I would say they're about even levels how much I love them. I really did enjoy this one though. I gave it 5 stars. And if you have not read The Immoral Rules and are planning to, you might want to fast forward on the video right now or stop the video, because there's no way I can talk about this book without giving out spoilers from the first book. So the book starts off with them in Eden and Allie leaving, and the humans do let her leave peacefully because she doesn't harm anybody or doesn't threaten anybody. She just leaves. So she is now on a mission to find Kanan and save him from Saren, I don't know how to pronounce his name, the most evil vampire in existence. And while on her way to find him, she meets up with Jackal, who is still alive. Jackal offers to help her find Kanan because he wants to find Kanan as well as she does. So they form this uneasy truce because they still don't really like each other, obviously. She's mad at him for killing Jeb and for killing Darren, I think it was, in the first one. And, you know, capturing everybody. And he's pissed at her for burning down his theater. So it's an uneasy truce, and they set off. And I absolutely loved that Jackal was in this book. I didn't love Jackal, and even at the end of it, I don't really love him, but I'm starting to like him. He grew on me. He adds a lot of comic relief with his comments throughout it, and actually it's interesting because he always talks to Allie like she's his little sister, and I do think they have that kind of relationship throughout it. You know, big brother little sister thing going on, and it's really interesting. And then so they end up having to actually go back. They have to go back to New Covington, where she grew up and was born, basically. And while there, she finds Zeke, who has been looking for her. So Zeke joins the story, and it's really good. Oh my goodness. The end of it was so heartbreaking, and it's a big cliffhanger to the next book. The last book in the series is The Song of Forever, and that comes out in April. But oh yes, I loved this book. It really ramped up the world building. We learned more about the disease. We learned more about vampire politics. Characters were amazing, and stakes are really high in it. So yeah, it was just a really good story, and I was happy I finally read it. And then I finally finished last night Monsters by Ilse J. Bick, which is the third and final book in the Ashes trilogy. This book is a monster. I think it was like 800 pages, and it took me a long time to finish it. And not that I'm a pretty quick reader, and 800 pages usually wouldn't faze me. It doesn't normally, but it was just that it was so intense. It was a very intense book. Almost constant action, all kinds of point of views. Things were happening all over the place. It was very chaotic, a very chaotic novel. But I have to say, at the end was amazing. I struggled getting through the first half of it, but once I hit about the halfway point, it took off. And the last like 20% or so was like I couldn't put it down. It was really, really good. And it tied everything up really well, and I was just amazed at Ilse J. Bick. She is a fabulous writer to tie all that up, because there was so much going on and so many factors, and it all made sense at the end, and it was just really well done, and I was really happy with the ending. I felt it ended as good as it could. It wasn't a purely happy ending, but it was realistic, and it was as happy as you could expect, I think, based on their world. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I gave all 3 of the books in the series 4 stars. They're not, to me, a 5-star read, although I know lots of people who would rate them that. But they're still really good, and I really enjoyed them. So yeah, definitely a good series. Just be forewarned, it is thoroughly gross. It's very graphic. Although honestly, by the time I got to about 20% monsters, it was almost like not even phasing me anymore, because it was so much gore everywhere that it was like, it kind of reminded me of Kill Bill, if that movie Kill Bill and the sequel, where you get to the point where there's so much that you're desensitized to it. So that's kind of how it felt by the time I got to the last book. Crimson Frost by Jennifer Stepp. This is the 4th book in the Mythos Academy series, and this one, I loved this one. My favorite so far. They all seem to get better and better to me, but it didn't start out that way. Actually, Gwen is falsely accused of murdering the people who died at the end of Dark Frost, and she is accused of bringing Loki back. So she is basically arrested. They're called the Protectorate, and they're kind of the law enforcement agency, I guess, in this world, and they're not very fair, and they're not very concerned with people's rights. So she's not treated very well, and in fact, they call a huge assembly at the school, and pretty much everybody in the world is attendance, and they put her up on stage and basically accuse her of these crimes, and then say that she will stand trial, and until then she's under house arrest. So they basically have told everybody in the world that they think that she's guilty and she's a bad, evil person without trying her first. And what happens is the entire world gangs up on her, and she's bullied, and some of them try to kill her, and it's just, it gets crazy. She's about as down low as she can get, and Logan's dad is the main one who is trying to persecute her. So yeah, but it was really good. It got better about halfway through as far as being dumped on. Her friends stepped up a little bit more, and then things started happening, and there was lots of action, and yeah, another really good installment. These are great action series with great mythology elements to them, and just a really fun series. So I have the 5th one as an e-arc, and I am really excited to read it. More Than This by Patrick Ness. This book was not at all what I expected, although I didn't have really very many expectations going in, because the blurb made it sound pretty vague. I'll go ahead and read the blurb on the back of the book so you can kind of give you an idea what it's about. And this is going to be hard to talk about because I don't want to give anything away. There's huge twists in this, and it's hard to talk about it without giving anything away, but I'll try. A boy named Seth drowns, desperate and alone in his final moments. But then he wakes. He is naked, thirsty, starving, but alive. How is this possible? He remembers dying, his bones breaking, his skull dashed upon the rocks. So how is he here? And where is this place? The streets seem familiar, but everything is abandoned, overgrown, covered in dust. What's going on? Is it real, or has he woken up in his own personal hell? Seth begins to search for answers, hoping desperately that there must be more to this life, or perhaps this afterlife. So it is a kind of almost a reality type of story where, so at the beginning, all you know is that he has killed himself. You don't know anything about him. And then he wakes up disoriented and can't really remember anything. He kind of remembers dying, but that's about it. He remembers his name and all that. But certain things, it takes a while for his memories to come back. So we learn more and more about him and his life and why he committed suicide throughout the story as he remembers things. And then you have this whole, where is he and what's going on? It's all mysterious. And it was really well written. I mean, I just could not put it down. It was a quick read. It was easy to get through. I was so intrigued to find out what the heck was going on, and I had no idea. I could not have guessed what was really going on. There was a few small things that I figured out, but the main big twists, I had no clue. And it was done so well. And the ending was amazing. I just really, really love this book. Now it's set up that there could be a sequel to it, although right now it doesn't look like there is. And honestly, I kind of would like it if there isn't, because I kind of like how things are kind of up in the air at the end. It kind of reminded me of Every Day by David Leviathan. How the end of that book was everyone was able to interpret whatever happened in their own way. And Requiem a little bit by Lauren Oliver, although not on that same level, I don't think. But yeah, it reminded me of that, and there is, but I liked this better than Every Day. So Every Day was not one of my favorite books. I know people rave about it, and I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars, but it's not my favorite book. This I just thought was written so well and so amazing, and I connected with the characters, and I was into the story, and it was a perfect read for me. I really loved it. The last book I read this week was TheDarkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken, and oh my word, I loved this book, and I knew I was going to. I had heard so many good things about it, and I just knew it was going to be a book that I liked. It is a dystopian, kind of a sci-fi dystopian, and it's about a world, our future world, where this disease comes through and it either kills all of the kids, or the ones that survive it are given these superpowers, and the adults are afraid of them, and the government basically locks all the kids up in these camps, although the government lies and says they're rehabilitating the kids and trying to get them so they're safe to society, but really they're just locked up. The different superpowers are classified by color. The blue and the green superpowers are pretty dangerous. Basically, it's things like they're really good at math, or they're good at breaking codes, or they have telekinesis and things like that. And then there's yellow, orange, and red. The yellows can control technology and can basically blow things up. And then the orange are rare, and they have the ability to mess with someone's mind. Basically, they can invade someone's mind and tell them to do something and control someone. And then reds, it's never really explained in here what the reds can do, but it must be really bad because there's like no reds at all in the story. The main character is Ruby, and she is sent to this camp, one of the big camps, when she's 10. Actually, on her 10th birthday, her parents send her, and it takes a while in the book to find out why they sent her. She is actually an orange, but she fools the camp when they sort them. She fools the doctor into classifying her as green, because she watches and what she sees what the oranges can do when she gets there, and she's scared to death of them, and she knows that's what she can do, but she doesn't know how to control it. She doesn't ever use it. So she flies under the radar. So then you fast forward 6 years. She's now 16, and she has managed to escape the camp, and she's running for her life. She meets up with some other kids who have also escaped from another camp. Liam, Chubbs, and Zoo are their names. And Zoo is a little girl who's a yellow. Chubbs, can't remember if I think he's either blue or green, I can't remember. And Liam is blue. And Liam's kind of their leader. And they take her in. She lies and says she's green. She's still wearing her green classified clothing from camp, so they just kind of assume she is. And she doesn't tell them she's an orange because she is scared of her ability. She's scared of herself, and she's afraid that if anyone finds out what she can really do, that she will either be killed or be alone for the rest of her life, that no one will want her. So that's basically the premise of the story. And these kids are trying to find this safe site called East River. That's a safe place for kids with abilities to go and hide out. So that's the basic premise of the story. It's really good. That only covers the tip of the iceberg, though, and it's almost constant action or learning about these kids' abilities, and it's just an amazing read. I really loved it. The superpower element in it is really fresh and exciting and fun, and the end was just heartbreaking, and I am really excited to read the sequel, which I do have an e-arc of, so I will be reading that very soon. I also need to get the novella in time and read that too. But yes, 5-star read. Enjoyed this book immensely. That was my week in books. Not a bad week. Let me know if you have read any of these books and what you thought. And everyone have a good week. I'll talk to you later. Bye.